Okay, welcome. I'm going to introduce you to FreeCAD and related to 3D printing. And FreeCAD you can get for free, like it says, at freecadweb.org, freecadweb.org. I'm on Linux Mint. You can get it for Windows as well. I won't go into why I prefer to use Linux over Windows, but I do. If you're on Linux or Linux Mint or Ubuntu, it's in the repository. On Linux Mint, you would just go to their software manager, type in FreeCAD, and install it from the repository, from the software manager's repository. But I already have it installed. I'm going to go to Graphics and launch FreeCAD. Now, after you launch FreeCAD, it may seem kind of counterintuitive, but you're not going to go File, New. The first thing you're going to do is go to View, Workbench. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on the Part Workbench. Not Part Design, but Part. There are other workbenches. You can do old-fashioned drafting, mesh design, but we want to go to the Part menu. I'm going to introduce you to drawing with primitives. This is actually a very powerful way to draw. You can virtually draw anything this way in 3D, and it makes a lot of things quicker and maybe more intuitive, because with drawing with primitives is if you're a craftsman or something like that, where you're used to doing woodworking and stuff, you can think of using primitives as cutting out shapes with shapes. You're basically making tools to cut out your shape. And so you can kind of think like you do in the shop. And we're going to go File, New. There's actually a little icon here. You can just select that, but File, New will work. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select a shape I want to start with, and let's create a box solid. Now, before I go any further, what I want you to do is right click, go to Navigation Styles, and select Touchpad Navigation. This is how I prefer to work with FreeCAD. And with touchpad navigation, what this allows you to do is you hold down your Alt key on your keyboard and then grab the object with your mouse as you're holding the Alt key, and you can spin it around. Okay? And that just makes it real convenient. I can just grab the object, spin it around. If I need to change the view, there's the view menus up here, which will toggle your different views of the object that you're drawing. And there's an isometric view set to front view. Okay, so this say I have this box. Now over here on the menu on the right, I can select the box, and you can see the box is highlighted and it's selected. And over here I have another menu, View. For example, I can change the transparency of this object to 50%, and now this is a transparent object, which, say, if you had some complicated part that you were working on and you needed to see through to other things that you had drawn inside, the transparency feature is very convenient. I'm going to change the transparency back to solid, which would be 0 transparency. And then you have the data menu, and this allows me to move my object around, change the height, length, and width of this box. And say for a moment I want to just change this one dimension to 15. Now it's more of a rectangle. So now let's say I have this box, and you can mouse wheel on this and move the object in and out with your mouse wheel. But just to introduce you to the concept of drawing with primitives in FreeCAD, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a couple holes in this box, and so I'm going to select a cylinder, and as you notice, it set the cylinder at the XY0 Z0 coordinate in the Cartesian coordinate system that FreeCAD uses, and actually any CAD system. And so what I want to do is I'm going to select this cylinder because I want to drill some holes through this box with this cylinder. I want to drill a couple holes. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Well, let's say I have a 2mm cylinder. I can change those dimensions over here. Let's say I want to make it a little bigger. I want it to be a 3mm. Okay, so now I have a little bit of a bigger one, but I want to move it into the location I intend to drill. So I'm going to come up here to the placement menu there, and I'm going to move it into position right there. Now it just happens that I need two holes identical, so I'm not going to redraw that cylinder again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the cylinder, and you can see the cylinder's highlighted, and I'm going to go into the edit menu, and I'm going to say duplicate the selection. Now there are two of those cylinders in the exact same location, taking up the same space, and you can see the other one appeared in the menu over here. So I'm going to select the new cylinder, and I'm going to go into the placement menu while it's selected, and I'm going to move it over in the X coordinate system. Now I'm just clicking 1mm at a time. You can actually move it fractional and put it anywhere on this object you'd like. So okay, so now I have my box and I have two cylinders. Now what I want to do is I want to use these cylinders to cut holes through this box. The first thing you do is you're going to select what the object you want to keep. In this case, we want to keep the box. And then you're going to hold the control key and select one of the cylinders. And then in the menu over here on the right, you're going to select make a cut between two shapes, this icon. And click it, and boom, it cut a hole through your box. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but now my box is no longer a box. It's called a cut because I made a cut into it. And so these objects will change names as you work with them, depending on what your last operation was. And so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select the box holding the control key, and then select the other cylinder that I duplicated, and do the same operation, make a cut between shapes, two shapes. And you can see now I have a box with two holes cut into it. Now this is just kind of getting your feet wet with this idea. I could actually use this object to cut out another object, and it would take on this shape, say if I wanted to embed this into something else. But let's do one more operation here. We're going to select the corners, and you're going to hold down the control key and select, say I want to put a radius on these edges. Then I'm going to go up to this menu and select, and you have different options in here. You can select a chamfer, you can select a radius. I want to select a radius, and I'm going to put just a little edge break on here of say 0.5 millimeter. Okay, so now I have this little object, and I can again hold the Alt key and move it around, and you can see that it has this particular shape to it. Now let's do one more thing. I'm gonna make another box. Okay, and you see it set it right there, the XYZ coordinate. But I want this box to be larger. I'm gonna make this box 20 by 20 by 20. And let's say, for example, what I really wanted to do was create this object, which is now called fillet. And I wanted to use it, and I'm going to go to the placement menu of the fillet, and I want to move the this entire fillet object right to the center of this new box. Because let's say, for example, I wanted to cut it out on the other side, and I'm going to run it all the way through until it appears on the other side, and I'm going to bury it right down to the and when you get flush, you'll see it gives you that kind of a image. But what we're going to do is I'm going to select my new box, and now, and holding down the Alt key, I want to keep the box, and then I'm going to cut it out with the fillet we just made. So I'm going to go back over here and cut. Now you can see I have, well, a shape that you know, using other drawing methods might not be terribly intuitive to draw, but it has a radius down on the bottom because we put the radius on our part, so it cut it out exactly to that shape. And you know, again, we could hold the Control key and now put some radiuses on our box here, and select the. Let's do a chamfer, and let's do a 1 millimeter chamfer. Okay, so now we have a block with this cutout in it, and this is just a hypothetical drawing. We can go on and on with this. Now, if I wanted to export this to be something that could be used on any of these 3D printers, you're going to need it to be in STL format. And to do that, what you're going to do is go over to the menu and select the object, and go File, Export. And you're going to go into the menu and select an STL format. And I'm going to call this 012 STL. Save. Okay, so now I have a copy of it saved as an STL that can be used to. And so I can say File, we're going to say Close All, Save Document. I'm going to say No. Normally you probably want to save it, but I think I put it in here. 012 STL. Okay, now you can see this is an STL file now. It actually, the appearance of it's slightly different. But this part you can put into your 3D printer, and of course you're gonna, you know, you wanna orientate your parts in a manner that's appropriate for your 3D print job. You know, obviously I would want this to be. So this is if I put it in this view, it's going to print from this bottom side up, which probably wouldn't be good for a 3D printer. So you would have to, before you saved it in the STL, you want to reorientate that part. And that's my lesson conclusion for Introduction to FreeCAD for 3D printing. And I hope that was helpful to you. I'll go into some more advanced concepts in another video. Okay, bye-bye.